Osama says the McPherson paradox is when you don't update your Mac and it crashes, but if you update it, it crashes faster. Stuff like that. Exactly. All right, well, let's try this again. One more time. I think this is going to work, guys. Here we go. Did y'all see this? That is crazy. Can we call that melting permafrost? Can we call that melting permafrost? Just when you're sitting in your house and you're like, what's that sound? I feel funny. That is so insane. When a whole just big hunk of land just decides to slide into the ocean. Wild stuff. Anyways, here's, I guess, some, we'll call this good news, but also frustrating, I think. This is frustrating me. New Jersey becomes the first state. What's the year? What year is it? It is 2020. 2020, like the year when everybody realized that we were going over the cliff because of climate change. And so New Jersey becomes the first state to include climate change in school curriculum, a critical, quote unquote, step. We will need leaders who are not only well educated about the effects of climate change, but leaders who can craft solutions for climate change and implement those solutions, said former Vice President Al Gore. We're also going to need leaders who can, lead a pack of humans, that are maybe 30 in size, over hill and dale searching for food after the apocalypse happens, Al Gore. How much time do we have for these leaders to grow up and become climate-aware humans who will craft policy that will save the planet? That should have happened like 30 years ago. I can't believe that this is the first state. It is 2020. The year is 2020. Just wild. New Jersey has announced a new initiative that will make it the first U.S. state to incorporate climate change education into its curriculum. I'm going to say, okay, great, yay. The New Jersey Board of Education will soon mandate lessons on climate change for all kindergarten through 12 public school students. First Lady Tammy Murphy said Wednesday. First Lady. She's the First Lady of New Jersey. The lessons will be incorporated across 7 different areas of content: 21st century life and careers, comprehensive health and physical education, science, social studies, technology, visual and performing arts, and world languages. New Jersey has already seen effects of climate change, from disappearing shorelines and superstorms to harmful algal blooms in local lakes, Murphy said in a statement. Oh yes, First Lady of New Jersey. The adoption of these standards is much more than an added educational requirement. It is a symbol of a partnership between generations, she said. Decades of short-sighted decision-making has fueled this crisis, and now we must do all we can to help our children solve it. The generation of students will feel the effects of climate change more than any other. Yeah, you could say that. Governor Phil Murphy, meanwhile, said that since taking office, he's made it a top priority to reestablish New Jersey as a leader in the fight against climate change. All right. Well, we'll say that that's good news. We'll call that good news. My mic is super hot and distorting. Oh yeah, sorry. God dang it! I just can't seem to get. Today has just been a comedy of errors, technical errors, and I apologize. So, Alhim F said, "Dude, we learned about climate change in school." I don't know where you're at, Alhim F. I mean, I think that people have been learning about climate change in school. My son learned about climate change while he was in school. It's not like something that people aren't teaching or talking about in school, but the fact that this should be common knowledge among all peoples, and it's quickly becoming common knowledge among all peoples, and it's quickly becoming common knowledge for children who understand that their future is in jeopardy. However, again, the time to do this was 20 or 30 years ago. In the year 2020, we are not going to, grow leaders. I mean, maybe they'll all become the new Greta Thunbergs of the world. But they're going to have to do something really, really quick. Let's move on. Yeah, sorry, this video has just been really, really weird, to say the least. Yeah, extreme weather happening right now in the Midwest, of course. Scott's talking about Missouri being hot and Nebraska. Check this out. This is wild. I got this from Nick Humphrey's page. A heat burst occurred in Boone County this morning. Heat bursts are rare atmospheric nighttime events characterized by gusty winds, a rapid increase in surface temperature, and a decrease in surface dew point. Associated with dissipating thunderstorm, as if we needed any help getting hotter this weekend. Let's read more of this because this is wild. What happened this morning in Nebraska, at the weather station to the left, the temperature went from 74 degrees to 92 degrees in 30 minutes. Can you imagine that? I mean, have you ever felt anything like that? Has anyone else ever felt anything like that? From 74 to 92 in 30 minutes? I've felt that moving from place to place, right? Like I would be driving my car and I would move out of one area into another, and it suddenly became, wildly hotter in another area. But I've never actually been sitting in one space or in my house, outside of my house, and the temperature went up almost 20 degrees in the space of 30 minutes. That is crazy. The relative humidity went from 83% to 26%. Holy shnikes. Also very, very hot weather in Nebraska over the next couple of days in the 90s. That is crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And again, if we start seeing that in the future, more and more, what if the temperature goes up to 105 degrees in a couple of minutes? What happens when it starts going up to 110 or 115 degrees in a couple of minutes? Yeah, Basil, that is insanely wild. Scott Andrews says, wait till July, it'll probably get worse. One more story that I wanted to look at today. Bay Area cooling centers offer a little relief from a heat wave pandemic. So during pandemic, so this is a couple days ago, there was a bit of a heat wave going on in Northern California earlier this week. Heat pounded the usual spots in the East Bay and South Bay on Wednesday as masked seniors trickled into 13 cooling stations across the region and kept 6 feet apart from each other, if not necessarily from the air conditioners. Inland temperatures climbed toward the century mark in the early afternoon, and coastal areas were expected to stay in the high 70s and low 80s. So, you guys, if anybody has ever lived in the Bay Area or knows anything about the Bay Area, 80 degrees is hot. Like, it just doesn't really, and that's like mid-summer, right? Mid-80s and mid-summer, that's about as hot as it gets in the Bay Area. I lived in the Bay Area many years ago. I've been in the Bay Area many times, so like, it just rarely gets that hot. And when it gets into the 80s or 85, people that live in the Bay are like, "Oh my God, I cannot take it. This is insane." But we're talking about 100 degrees in late spring, early summer, very early June. This is wild temperatures for these areas. Livermore, Concord, Antioch, Brentwood, Pittsburgh, Morgan Hill, and Gilroy were among the communities expected to top 100 degrees by late afternoon. A high-pressure system from the southwest was driving the late spring heat spike. So here, if you want to know how abnormal this is, we're having abnormally hot conditions. It's at least 20 degrees hotter in the East Bay interiors than usual. So, as I was saying, again, 80 degrees is hot for that area. 100 degrees is insane. Is out of context for the area. It is abnormal, highly abnormal. Again, this has been going on for the last few years. Just for the last few years. It also is happening in Washington State, Oregon State, right? They're getting these insane temperature spikes, which are not normal for those areas. This is all due to climate change. This is absolutely, positively, strictly climate change, because these are not anomalies, because it's not happening like once every couple of years. It's not happening like once every 10 years or once every 5 years, once every 20 years. It's happening every single year, more and more each year over the last 5 years. So that is clearly a trend that will stay and continue to get worse. G. Demarest, 80 is a scorcher in Vancouver, BC. Exactly. 80 degrees, back in the day, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, like 80 degrees or 85 was like, whoa, boy, oh shit, hey, everybody take cover, duck and cover. 100 degrees in those areas, or 90 degrees now, is an extreme anomaly. It is all climate change. And it makes sense because the Arctic is getting hotter than the lower latitudes. So those higher latitudes are actually going to get hotter. The anomalies are going to be larger than they are in the lower latitudes. I don't know what to say. I mean, it is what it is. We're preparing for a summer of heightened anxiety, emotions, and disruption all over the place, all over this country, possibly in other countries as well. Due to dissatisfaction with how those in power are taking care of us, or how they're taking care of global situations, how they're responding to global situations. But I mean, the situation of climate change hasn't even begun to touch people. Hasn't even begun. I mean, it's starting to, but it hasn't begun to get really bad yet. And when it does, I can assure you that we haven't seen anything yet as far as societal disruption. As far as things breaking down. Things are really going to break down when climate change really kicks in gear. But go ahead and buy a Tesla, or if it makes you feel better, I don't know. Not saying that trying to get off grid is a bad idea or a foolish idea. I think that we should get off of fossil fuels as quickly as possible. However, as Jeff Gibbs succinctly put it yesterday in the clip that I played you, the idea of burning less fossil fuels means burning less fossil fuels. I'm much doomier than yesterday. Yeah, well, again, what I'm trying to say is that, time is short. So, if action is going to come, I think we're not only going to have to take action, but we're going to have to alert people to the idea that this is what this means, right? This is, I know that people are unhappy and upset with the political climate and the political situation, and how people, the common people are being treated by those in power. People are upset with that. However, there is a much bigger tidal wave coming, and that tidal wave is called climate change. And geez, people are going to be really upset about that. I don't know what to say to all the jacked up truck driving MAGAs out there. All the Trumpers who think climate change is some globalist plot. When people start dropping dead in the street because it's just too dang hot. I don't know. What are you going to say to that? What are you going to do about that? What's your excuse then? When your houses start sliding into the ocean because the permafrost is melting, or because the sea is encroaching on your little corner of paradise. What are you going to say to that? What are you going to say about that? What's the excuse? Is it a pole shift? What is it? Is it the core of the earth heating up? What is it? It's got to be something. It just can't be climate change, whatever it is. Is it they're spraying us in the skies? Is it HARP, guys? What's the excuse? Could it be climate change? Or could it be global warming? Let's just call it what it is. It's called global warming, and it's been happening for years. They tried to switch the name up to make it seem like the climate is always changing. Climate change. That was a nice little marketing ploy right there. But yes, the climate is changing for the worst because it is warming. It is called global warming. The climate is warming. We'll call it climate warming, global heating. It's getting really hot in here. Jesus Christ, could somebody turn down the heat? I don't know what else to say about it. Anyways, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I apologize for all the technical difficulties today. It was, I don't know what to say. Schnarp. Harp Schnarp. I try and do my best. I'm a one-man crew. I don't have any crew. I don't have any sound crew or film crew or anything. So I have to manage all the buttons while I'm sitting in the seat talking to you. So that's my excuse. Thank you all for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I will be back tomorrow at the regular time of 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, hopefully in much smoother, flying in much smoother skies tomorrow. So until next time, guys, peace. Hey guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can also support the channel at the links below. PayPal, Square, and Patreon. Also, all of my live streams are available for listening on Patreon if you happen to miss them during the day. So you can sign up for my Patreon for as little as $1. If you want to go check out the live streams, they are all there. Thanks a lot.